Okay, the science of speed and power. What are the different factors that go into creating as much speed as possible in the golf swing? So, first and foremost, it's important to understand how strength plays into this. First thing you might need is just top end strength. Strength is how much force can you produce, period. There is no time limit to strength. So, if you think of someone with 500 pounds on their back doing a back squat, 1 rep max, you might notice they move pretty slow on the way down and even slower on the way up, pushing as hard as they can, creating as much force as they can until they finally stand that thing back up. That is strength. You can produce, say, 1,000,000 newtons of force with that. Now, what we want with power is to produce as much newtons of force as fast as possible, right? So what we need to do is combine strength with speed to create power. The person with 500 pounds on their back squatting the heaviest that they possibly can cannot produce force fast. They can produce as much force in that way, but it's slow, right? Now, if you try to take something very light and move it very fast, you're not going to produce as much force either because you don't have a heavy object that you're moving. So the way to create power and the most power possible is to move as much weight as you can as fast as you can. So the moment we really start to lose speed is where we stop increasing the weight and we hang out there. That's our max power. So it helps to improve our power production by getting stronger. Now, as much power as we can produce is a fraction of how much strength we have. So if we increase our ceiling for strength, we will increase our ceiling for power. Now, speed is more of a neurological thing where we need to learn the technique and the way of creating as much speed, just being as fast as possible, which includes creating some changes to your nervous system, how well you can connect, create speed, and contract muscles quickly. Now, some other things that we need to understand is, well, right now what we have is kind of a neurological training effect with speed. There's certainly some neurology that has to go into creating strength, but a lot of it is also morphology, right? Muscles, how big the muscle, the surface area of the muscle, and then again there is a neurological. Hey, how well can we recruit motor units for strength? How well can we recruit motor units for speed? More neurology, more physiology, but still, of course, these things overlap. Now, what we need to know about muscle unit recruitment is that there is a kind of a perfect middle ground. You have these muscle, we'll call them fibers, right? And they connect to each other like this. And when we go to contract something, what these fibers do is they themselves start to pull. That shortens, right? So we shorten the muscle, creating a contraction. Now, here we can create a lot of force and power because we have a lot of connections. When we lengthen the muscle too much, we have less connections. It's much harder to get a strong contraction. It takes more time. When we have too much overlap, again, we kind of lose these connections and we can't really contract forcefully in a very short position. Think about how much force you can create from here to here versus somewhere right here in the middle where we can create the most force, right? So what we want to do is take advantage of that kind of middle ground. What that looks like is we can produce more force somewhere here than we can, say, at this very, very deep position of a squat. That's why it's kind of the hardest position to get out of. Once we get to here, we tend to feel a lot better, stronger, and we can move out of that position. What we want to do is take advantage in the swing and in training of this kind of middle ground. Now, one more concept is this kind of the elastic components of muscle and tendon. These components, these are kind of non-contractile components of the muscles and tendons where if we put a stretch on these things, they will rebound. What we want to do is take advantage of that stretch, that elastic component, the property, the quality of these muscles to stretch and rebound to create more speed. So how do we put all this together is we want to have as much muscle available to create strength. We want to have the neurology fired up and ready to go to create speed, to be knowledgeable and understanding to use these muscles to create speed, to have the technique to create as much speed and force as possible. We also want to be able to put these muscle fibers in a position where they are most advantageous to create contraction, strong, quick contraction, and then also put a stretch into these muscles quickly and then contract them out of that stretch to take advantage of the elastic qualities of these muscle fibers and tendons to use that to create speed too. What does that look like? A great example is our counter movement jump. So if I ask you to jump, You wouldn't come way down here, wait for 2 seconds, and then jump. You wouldn't jump very high. You also wouldn't do this and jump from here. Wouldn't jump very high. What you would do is you would know you need to go here, somewhere right in the middle, right? Not here, not down here, but somewhere right in the middle. That's you intrinsically knowing to create this kind of position of most fiber connection. 2 is you wouldn't go to that position, wait for 2 seconds, and then jump, because then you're missing out on that elastic component. So you know in your head, you don't even have to think about it or even understand it. You just know that to jump as high as possible, I need to jump or bend right about here. And then the moment we get there, we kind of drop down and come right back up. So that is you being quickly to transition to take advantage of that elastic component. So these are the things we need to take advantage of in training to learn to create as much force and power as possible. When we do training for power, we go for max output, right? Max power, max timing, right? We want to work on these qualities in the reps. We do not work for fatigue when we do power and speed training. We only work for the highest quality reps possible, and then we stop. This is how we take most advantage of the nervous system. We got to train that nervous system to operate at these higher speeds. We got to get the muscles, tendons, body understanding how to operate at these highest speeds in force production. So we train for strength to increase our ceiling. Then we take that strength and integrate it into speed and technical component, right? So we learn how to create speed. We get the nervous system ready and fired up to create speed. And then we combine those two things to create as much power as possible. We start doing drills where we create force and power in positions and drills that teach us how to use all these components that we talked about, right? And then we integrate that into golf-specific patterns so that we know how to do these same exact things for the golf swing. We address and create changes in our morphology, our physiology, right? Our muscles, our tendons, our nervous system. We address the nervous system. We get that thing fired up, ready to go. Then we put those two things together to create as much power as possible. We learn, we teach the body to do that. We get more efficient at it. And then we do it in golf ways, right? Golf specific ways. Then we get you on the course and we can get you swinging harder and faster, right? So these are the steps of speed and power development. This is kind of the science, some different concepts and science that goes into creating a faster, more powerful golf swing.